Ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of hilarious. Every single time Democrats think they have Trump, it's like every single time they just get caught up in a web of their own contempt. And Trump finds a very simple way to turn the tables. Now, everyone associated with impeachment, which, by the way, the articles of impeachment did not list the legal statute. They did not impeach President Trump on any criminal act, unlike Bill Clinton, who was impeached for, oh my goodness, I'd never lied under oath. I never had relations. What is. He lied under oath and he obstructed justice. They impeached Trump based on their opinion of their political differences. That's it. The fact that they didn't like his style. Oh, the way that he obstructed Congress. It's not obstruction of Congress, and the way in which President Trump engaged in his authority as president. Those are not impeachable offenses. But anyway, really quickly, Neil Barofsky, Obama's Wall Street reforms deserve an F. This is the Huffington Post. The former bailout watchdog says President Obama gets an F for his Wall Street reforms. So, President Obama got an F for his Wall Street reforms after the economic collapse and the bailouts, which Bush started. The worst president we've ever had, George W. Bush, now a favorite of Democrats. But they wanted oversight. They want oversight because, they need some excuse. Because it wasn't enough that they purchased a dossier to investigate President Trump. They purchased a dossier Clinton purchased a dossier, and they utilized a bunch of gossip and nonsense and fantasy, probably Bill's fantasies, to investigate President Trump for 3 years, found nothing. They covered up Clinton's actual crimes. Who will be nominee again? Hillary Clinton will be nominee. It's a political machine. The Democratic Party is a political machine. They're not a political party. They're a political machine run by two people. Biden is only there as a placeholder. So they cheated Bernie Sanders in 2016. He had a viable campaign in 2016. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. The unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. And President Trump is the president that Bernie wishes he could be. Reversing U.S. foreign policy. He just recently signed a peace deal to eventually end America's longest-running military conflict. That is the biggest moral dilemma we face as a nation. The biggest. It affects everybody of all different backgrounds. And it also affects people in other countries. Our foreign policy, our overreaching foreign policy, President Trump is scaling back. This is how you go from Bernie Sanders to voting for Jill Stein to voting for President Trump to saying, hey, Tulsi Gabbard has some good ideas. That's how you go. Isn't it interesting how it's always, well, Russia likes Tulsi Gabbard and Trump, President Trump, and Russia likes Bernie Sanders, and Russia likes Jill Stein. Russia likes anyone who opposes never-ending military conflict, which the Democratic Party espouses. If you have Max Boot, Bill Kristol, and Bernie Sanders voting for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Clinton in 2020, there's a big problem with the left. But anyway, they want oversight. So you know who President Trump picks, and you can look at a whole bunch of articles. President Obama's administration to keep TARP Inspector General from new small business program. There's a whole bunch of... there's a whole bunch of articles. Neil Barofsky, the Democrat, taking digs at President Obama. Huffington Post, Neil Barofsky, Obama's Wall Street reform deserves an F. Why the Obama administration is feuding with TARP watchdog Neil Barofsky. Business Insider, that was CBS News. Business Insider, Obama accused of withholding documents from TARP Inspector General. So you have Neil Barofsky and the failures of TARP. So we can go on forever. President Obama had a watchdog, and he withheld information, and at the end of the day, the watchdog said he deserved an F grade. But the really hilarious thing is that President Trump's choice for Inspector General for the money, the total of $6 trillion, $2.2 trillion, and then $4 trillion in loans and Federal Reserve money. Trump's choice for Inspector General wins praise from some oversight experts as Democrats slam pick. This is really hilarious. President Trump, Brian Miller, he picked the current senior associate counsel in the office of White House counsel. So President Trump picked one of his attorneys or one of his top advisors would oversee the $500 billion rescue fund for industry if confirmed by the Senate as the new special inspector general for the recovery. Trump announced late Friday his intent to nominate Miller for the job. In the counsel's office, Miller was involved in defending the president during the impeachment proceedings, and Democrats said his current role raises questions about his independence. Look, the Democratic Party cannot be trusted trying to investigate Trump without there having been a criminal act there was zero criminal act when it came to impeachment, and there was zero criminal act when it came to Trump-Russia. They utilized a highly confident to moderately confident assessment from Clapper and Brennan, and all of that is going to be, that dirty laundry is going to be addressed by John Durham and William Barr when President Trump wins again. The Democratic Party is being dismantled before our very eyes. Now, they're giving it one last shot, one last attempt. Clinton could possibly become president. I give her like a 10% chance. They're not going with Biden. Biden will not be the nominee. Okay, everyone knows this. He's a placeholder for Madam Secretary. We don't know how, I don't know how, but it'll be the biggest political call of all time. It's a political machine where the person they'll nominate twice, if you look at the track record in terms of rhetoric and deed, action, legislation, or votes, the antithesis of what Democrats claim to be. Okay, Madam Secretary is the antithesis of what Democrats claim to be, and they're going to vote for her twice. And Bernie Sanders, by the way, will push and campaign for her twice, and so will AOC, and so will Elizabeth Warren. So that should tell you something about the left. But President Trump outmaneuvered them yet again. It's just hilarious. They say that he's a criminal president, he's a despot. What crime did he commit? Because I want to know, because the articles of impeachment didn't list a crime. Mueller never listed a crime. He didn't, and so Mueller said, well, obstruction of justice, possibly. Well, that's up to William Barr. Why didn't they list obstruction of justice in the articles of impeachment? Gee, I wonder why. Because then they'd have to go through the FISA issues with the Inspector General, which they just found out. Now, there hasn't been a FISA application without any errors in the past 4 years. Like, everyone has been riddled with deliberate errors. Okay, the people James Comey and everyone below him are not honest people. They just want to, they're just trying and, oops, I worked late. I forgot. Carter Page was actually worked with the U.S. intelligence community. Gee, we forgot that. No. They game the system, and they have the media to back them up. So they're able to get away with infinitely more than President Trump could ever think of getting away with. Trump is far more, he's a lot cleaner politically and in terms of any type of illegal activity than the Democratic Party and then Clinton. And if President Trump had a server for 4 years and he said, oh, well, it was just for convenience and yoga, would anyone believe him? And if he had top secret and special access program intelligence, you better believe that every single liberal publication would be like, oh my God, you know what? This is how they did it. They transferred the top secret and special access program intelligence by taking photos and then putting it on some kind of hard drive and then emailing the information. And they would have given you, we don't know how Clinton was able to obtain emails with top secret and special access program intelligence. They say, well, but her emails now is about servers where you're talking about a Secretary of State that never used a state.gov. So anyway, he picked Brian Miller, who is currently the associate counsel for the Office of the White House Counsel, and then he defended the president during the impeachment proceedings. So Chuck Schumer doesn't like it. He said the oversight position, which will be responsible for overseeing hundreds of billions of taxpayer dollars, requires a complete independence from the president and any other interested party to assure American people that all decisions are made without fear or favor. Why should we trust the Democratic Party, the Democrats in Congress, to do anything associated with oversight? Everything they do is based on a fantasy, a lie, the most overt conniving deception. Or I should say, it's so overt, their attempt at this kind of conniving, deceitful behavior. So to nominate a member of his president's own staff is exactly the wrong type of person to choose for this position. Actually, Schumer's kind of right. One thing I'll say is Schumer is right. But it's good, because you don't want to look. If it was Democrats, there's a person. He's a whistleblower. He notified Congress that Trump was going after his direct political rival in Biden. Not only did Trump not withhold military assistance because he was afraid of Biden, Trump would have paid $400 million of his own money to ensure that Biden would be nominee. Biden wouldn't even win the popular vote. And all this, the entire apparatus of the most nauseating, self-absorbed, megalomaniacal, narcissistic people, liberal establishment. And when I say that, I actually also mean the far left also, because they get funneled back right in, who just condemn and judge and demean and insult and mock and denigrate. That's all they do. Look at the top liberal channels. Look at the top liberal channels on YouTube. Most of their content is demeaning and trying to denigrate individuals who either support Trump or President Trump himself. But it's not so much like critique or discussion. It's mocking and denigrating and talking about how immoral they are and talking about how unintelligent and how... And then they lose. And they cheat Bernie Sanders, then they lose. And they hide everything. Even Bernie's a part of it too. You don't think Bernie's a tool, a willing participant in the entire charade? Democratic Party is a charade. It's a theatrical performance. The primary is for sure. There is no primary. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was forced to resign for a reason, because they cheated Bernie Sanders. Then in 2020, there was an app in Iowa that just miraculously was linked to former Clinton officials. Really? That's how it works? Well, that's just a coincidence. Was it also a coincidence that Michael Bloomberg dropped out a day after Super Tuesday? Was that a coincidence also? Oh, that's funny. So it's a coincidence. All of this is a coincidence. And Amy Klobuchar, right before Super Tuesday, she didn't want to win Minnesota. And Mayor Pete 2 days before Super Tuesday, and Elizabeth Warren 4 days after Super Tuesday or so, 4 days. And close to 4 million, over 4 million Democrats voting on March 12th during the height of this health crisis. Well, I mean, touching doorknobs and who knows what else they were doing. Not practicing social distancing, I can tell you that. But that's okay. Because they're going to go ahead, sensationalize everything, blame Trump for everything. Oh, people's lives. The last thing we needed as a society is for Democrats and media to be able to utilize the phrase saving lives or costing lives. But now they're doing it. And but when it was to ensure that Bernie Sanders would be kicked to the curb, they said, yeah, you know what? We're going to toss aside any fears. We'll just utilize that when we have to, which is every single day, and blame Trump for what Andrew Cuomo should have known in January. It's not Trump's role to govern New York. If New York had a shortage of ventilators and masks, Andrew Cuomo should have done the job. He was the governor. He is the governor. Now he's America's governor for being completely blindsided by everything. So you can't, the Democratic parties and media, they might as well, look, media should just be called the extension of the Democratic Party, or DNC newsletters or publications or public access for the Democratic Party, because that's basically what it is. You have Andrew Cuomo, who's America's governor now, The guy in January gave his State of the State, not one mention, just 2 months, not even a month and a half before all of this really, really hit. Not one mention of masks or ventilators or anything. Same with Gavin Newsom in California. And they were gleefully shut down 2 states. Do you think that they would have shut down those states had Clinton become president? 20% of U.S. GDP. 60 million people. When on March 12th they told Democrats to vote, and 1 million Democrats voted for Biden in Florida at the height of a public health emergency, and then Bernie voters are like, oh yeah, Bernie can win. 1 million people, and that was like, not only did Bernie lose Florida, he lost by like 500,000 or 600,000 votes, but 1 million people risked catching, this horrible disease just to ensure Bernie would be out of the way. That's their contempt for Bernie Sanders. Okay? So, Hillary Clinton's going to be the nominee. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. But President Trump's, it's awesome. President Trump now, his pick for White House counsel or for Inspector General Oversight person is Brian Miller, who defended President Trump during impeachment, and now they're saying, "Oh my God, oh my God, that's so horrible." This is just hilarious. Give me your thoughts below. They want some way to investigate President Trump. It ain't gonna work. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. Subscribe to it right now. For my new Patreons, thank you so very much. The lead up, this election is going to be the biggest election of our lifetime. Hillary Clinton could win. I'm letting you know right now. I'm telling you, not only is she going to be nominee, she'd actually become president. You need to tell everyone you know to vote for President Trump. Unless you want greater military interventions, more military interventions, and everything that would come with another Clinton presidency. But there's a reason Madam Secretary voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld, and then helped destroy a country in Libya alongside President Obama and Biden. And then they say, well, this wouldn't have happened if Clinton were in charge. Tell me a success. Tell me there have been numerous crises that Clinton was a part of or, was in government during. Tell me where she rose to the occasion. I want to know. Where is this shining example of leadership? I'm waiting. Tell me one moment where, during the Bush administration, when she voted alongside Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld? Pushing for the intervention, the failed NATO intervention that actually obliterated the country where people are being bought and sold. Now, tell me when. But anyway, they're going to go with Clinton again because both Bill and Hillary run the Democratic Party. It's a political machine. But I'm telling you, Clinton could become president. She's the best they have. Hillary Clinton is the best they have. And I respect her ability to keep fighting. I used to love Bernie Sanders. Then I realized something. The moment it took me a long while, maybe like a year and a half after, 2 years after. But the day he said, I'm sick of her emails, I said to myself, I didn't want to believe it. I said, my God, he doesn't want to fight. And now there are supporters even today. I'm a Trump supporter, but there are Bernie supporters who are 15% of Bernie supporters, by the way, are voting for President Trump. But anyway, there are supporters now who are saying, why didn't he go after Biden? Because he's part of a charade. Because he's part of a theatrical performance. He'll back Hillary Clinton again. Give me your thoughts below. To my Patreon members, thank you so very much. To my 19-minute crowd, if you watch this long, if you want to become a Patreon supporter, thank you very much. Your support is greatly appreciated. And this is going to be a very, very important election. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now.